What's coming is worse than the 2008 crisis. You've been warned. The rising prices we are seeing across the country, combined with the decline in our purchasing power, shows that the middle class needs to look at what's happening behind the scenes. This is the type of thing where you need to take action right now or you could be left behind. I'm going to break this down and show you what is coming at us full speed so you can be prepared for this massive disruption set to change this economy in a big way. This is going to impact not just this silver that we stack, it's also, I have some gold here, it's going to impact this price of gold that we wish we could still afford to stack. It's going to get even higher and higher. Check this out. This is from Kitco, and the article says that the heading is dramatic repricing across all financial assets coming as the Fed moves away from its 2% inflation target to this. It's an interview with Larry McDonald. And the article starts with the national debt approaching $35 trillion. There are only two ways out of this situation. Two ways: defaults or printing more money. And the article says the only way to get out of that kind of debt hole is if you keep inflation above interest rates. That's how you monetize the debt, by keeping inflation above the interest rates. That is why the Federal Reserve needs a much higher inflation target. It'll be a slow, manageable default, but it's still the only way out of this colossal debt hole. This article continues, in order to tame inflation back to 2%, the Fed needs to keep raising rates, but it can't do that without triggering a 2008-like financial crisis. Powell should raise rates another 150 basis points, but if you push rates up from here, you will very quickly bring on the financial crisis that we don't want, way worse than Lehman, it says. It says the Fed will have to cut rates to avoid a banking collapse and a brutal recession. However, first it must raise the no longer attainable 2% inflation rate. Now, you and know that what are the chances of our Fed giving up on that 2% inflation rate? And the reason I say that is because we're in a global economy, and these central banks all work together in a web. It would take this whole system of central banks to agree to that. So let's keep going. The article says the Fed will start circulating the white papers and working with other central bankers worldwide, just as I said, worldwide, to pitch this as a group. The inflation shift talk can start as soon as the Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium, which takes place yearly at the end of the summer. That feels like a long way away. At the end of the summer, if you have a $35 trillion debt hole, you need interest rates below the inflation rate, where you're wiping out debt with inflation. Now, there's a really interesting clip on this article, and I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you the audio. Let's see if this works. I'm going to play this for you. Check out this clip.
Central banks and investors around the world, the first thing they do is move into the mothership. They move into gold. But the higher the gold price goes, the cheaper and the more attractive silver gets on a price basis. So historically, these types of big moves in gold bring lots of global retail investors into silver. And so that's one of the first things that happens, and we think that's about to happen. The next part of it is once the market knows that the Fed is committed toward an official easing cycle, that's where the money really starts to move into silver. And so in other words, if you look at 2016, where the Fed made a really big shift, even though we hiked that year, they were promising 7 or 8. They were pricing, like in 2015, 16, they were promising like 8 rate hikes, and they hiked once. And they made this huge shift in the silver miners, and the silver itself dramatically outperformed gold in that kind of regime. It's the same.
So the part I found really interesting about that clip is that, first, it's true that there absolutely is a correlation to what we experienced in 2008 to what we're about to experience now and what we're seeing coming down the pike now. But I really find it fascinating how he mentions silver getting the big jump, because we assume that, yes, people will go into the hard asset of gold, right? They're going to jump into gold, maybe not this gold that I'm holding with these high premiums that this gold comes with. But you see my point. They're going to go into gold. Silver we typically think of as following with a slow lag behind gold. But in this situation, this can have, as he mentioned, a global push toward the physical silver. And because it's not just going to impact what we're struggling with here in the US. This is a global economy that we're dealing with. So that's how you see the push for silver going up. I really urge you to check out this. It's a long 1 hour interview. It's on YouTube. You can see it on Kitco, this interview. You should check it out. You could skim through and get to the parts where he's talking about gold and silver. But it's really interesting, and it really shows us that this is absolutely the type of thing that we need to be looking at, especially as gold is completely out of reach for us right now as silver stackers. Right here, this gold ounce. Yes, this gold ounce happens to come with a large premium. This is like a $500 premium that this comes with. But besides that, just the gold value in this 1 ounce is out of reach. I bought this when gold was very inexpensive compared to now. I bought this a long time ago. So for us, we're still just stacking silver, and we should also know, as I mentioned, the reality of gold being out of our reach. Gold and silver, when we look at how their performance, even since this last jump